Are there any reasons for people not to go to Poland? Well, let's see what Vigo's dad says.
Although there are some countries that do share a lot of commonalities, maybe, I don't know, perhaps because their inhabitants are ethnically related. For example, North Korea, South Korea comes to mind, Germany and Austria. It's fair to say that most countries are quite different from each other. And there are many reasons for this. For example, cultural aspects, political landscape, the geography even plays a role. In this day and age, we are living in the globalization era where it's never been easier to go online and book a flight and you wake up the next day in a place that is completely different to the one that you were raised on. And it poses a threat. It poses a threat because even though it's extremely exciting to go and explore new countries, new cities, but it's also important to admit that not every place will be to your liking. On this episode, I'm gonna tell you 6 things that if you don't like them, if you're not into this type of things, then maybe Poland is not for you.
It's so true, especially us in Europe. It's so easy to travel somewhere which is culturally so different. Landscape is so different. Charlie, as of recording this, Charlie is off to Portugal for 3 nights on her own to do some filming for our vlog channel, which if you haven't seen, go subscribe to the vlog channel in the description below. But it's so easy for her to get a real cheap, quick flight out there early in the morning, come back late in the afternoon on the last day. It is amazing. She's going for some sun that we're not getting right now. And we do that when we go to Poland. It's so easy to get dirt cheap flights to go to somewhere so different to where we live at the moment. Vigo's dad.
Boom! Cześć ludzie! What's up, people? Hola! Vigo's dad here. Welcome to another episode. Guys, listen. Long gone are the days where if you wanted to visit Europe, basically you were thinking about a few countries. Spain, France, Italy, maybe Portugal.
Yeah.
That's not the case anymore. The continent is now open and so many more nations are attracting tourists.
I just want to say, there's countries that... The reason why I went to Poland in 2012 was because Poland wasn't somewhere where people from England went to. It just wasn't done. Or certainly not... If you say, oh, I'm going to Poland, like, why would you be going there? But there are places that I would love to go to. Belarus, Bulgaria, Ukraine, when that's less being attacked. There's a lot of different countries that I would now love to go to, where only a few years ago you wouldn't have thought of going there in the first place. It's the Spains, the France, those countries in Europe that are seen as holiday destinations aren't necessarily seen like that anymore. Or they are, but I mean, other countries are being added into that, or even for city breaks.
And visitors that are interested in their culture and what they have to offer. For example, Poland, my home where I live now. Poland is quite a particular country, and there are certain things, certain unwritten and unspoken rules that I think you should abide yourself to, and it will determine whether you're going to have a good time visiting Poland, I don't know, maybe as a tourist only, or if you want to, find a job there and work for a year or so, or you just maybe want to just study. It doesn't matter. Listen to these 6 things. Dig deep inside of you. If you really cannot deal with them, then maybe you should not come to Poland. Maybe you should go somewhere else.
I'm going to judge if I can.
That maybe you should keep in mind and analyze whether you are very sensible to this or not. Are you a person that, let's say, you don't like cold weather, you don't like when there's lack of sunshine, maybe you don't like the rain, or maybe you don't like the snow. The elements are a little bit rougher in a place like Poland. You have 4 proper stations. Proper spring, you're gonna see summer, a real, warm summer. Autumn, where it probably is gonna rain. You're gonna see a winter that is gonna have temperatures that are gonna drop below 0. Sometimes they're gonna drop even below -10 Celsius.
So I have been now 4 times, and once was in July, and it was glorious weather. That was in 2016, World Youth Day. And that was a weekend. Anyway, that was amazingly hot. The other 3 times have been once in April and twice at the end of January, and it's been freezing. But there's something about it that actually, I think being in Poland when it's cold adds to the culture, and I don't know, it just feels different. It's hard to explain, but it feels like it should be cold in Poland. And maybe people in Poland are like, what are you talking about? We want the sun just as much as you Brits want the sun.
I have to admit, if you're already in late April and you see snow, when you've been seeing snow since November or December, probably you're going to be a little bit like, okay, dude, so when are we going to get a little bit of warm? I'm going to admit it. It does make a difference. Same thing happens with, and I think it's actually the biggest one and the one that affects people the most, is the lack of sunshine. In a place like Poland, you're going to have really, really short days during the winter. In December, for example, 2 o'clock, 2:30 in the afternoon, and it's already dark. The sun also rises later, so you barely have like 6 hours, maybe 7 hours of sunshine in a 24-hour period. If you are a person that are really deeply affected by weather, maybe you should think about it. Okay?
So I think this is another similarity that we have with Poles. You know, us in Great Britain, England, whatever, we're known for having cold weather, wet, cold weather. And I, please correct me if you think I'm wrong, but yes, we have this cold weather with not ridiculous amounts of sun all year round. And trust me, I would love the sun. I would love it to be sunnier. Even an extra month of warmer weather would be amazing. Now, I don't know if that's the same with Poles, whether you think, I'm actually quite fed up with not having the warmth and the sun. Just because you live somewhere doesn't mean you don't want more sun, because sun, I think, makes you happier. It's better for your health, but I digress.
Okay, if you come especially from those warm weather countries where it's light and there's sunshine until 6 or 7 o'clock every day, maybe Poland is not for you. The second thing that is going to be a major issue for you in Poland is if you're one of those people that don't make friends easily. Because you see, Poles are, I believe that they're quite friendly, but it takes them a little bit to warm up to you, especially if they've never met you. Also, they're highly sensible to how is it that they met you. It's gonna take them some sort of like a primary connection with you for them to feel comfortable. So let's say they met you through a friend. You landed at a party that, I know, a coworker invited you or someone from university, and then of course slowly you can make your way into the group and meet some people and build some relationships. Let's face it, not everyone has that natural ability to be friendly from the get-go. So if you struggle particularly with things like this applies a little bit more for people that are actually thinking about moving to Poland. But it's still a major one. Believe me, it can make a very, very big difference on whether you're going to be happy in this country and you're going to be able to meet people, befriend them, and create a social circle that is going to not make you want to question your life decisions.
I am very much like Marmite. You either like me or you don't like me. I'm quite introvert inside myself, but when I'm out in public, I am very chatty. I'm quite loud. It's weird because I'm lacking confidence, but I kind of compensate with being loud and arrogant. Sometimes it can be seen as, but I don't intentionally mean to do that. I remember when we were in Krakow the last time, we were in a bar and we made, not friends because that's not the right word, but we started chatting to people because it was my birthday. Charlie is one of the nicest people you can be around, and we connected with alcohol. So that's always a good connection with Poles, right?
Number 3 is actually related to the previous one because it's going to have an impact on your social circle, right? And that is whether you are okay with drinking. Drinking is a very big part of Polish culture, especially when it comes to social interactions. Do you need to be a drinker to be able to be accepted in Poland? Not necessarily, that's not true. At the end of the day, Poland is a country of people that love to drink, but it's not a country of drunkards. You meet people, although somewhat rare, that also don't drink. But you're gonna have to be okay with participating in events where alcohol is going to be a major player here, okay? Polish people are a little bit shy by nature. Maybe you can even say that they are a little bit uptight. And alcohol does really play a role in loosening them up. It's a very, very big part of their culture. If you have never been to a Polish birthday party, Polish weddings, they are the best. At the beginning, they're a little bit like contrived. It's astounding to me, the difference just in a few hours when alcohol kicks in. All of a sudden, people become so friendly. They become so, I don't know, social. That's the word. If you are not the best at interacting in places where there's alcohol, whether because, I don't know, it's your religion or whatever the reason might be. Maybe you just don't like alcohol. You don't like what it does to people. You don't like how it smells or whatever. Then I would really think about it, because in Poland, I'm going to say that 7 out of 10 scenarios that you're going to participate in outside of work, it's going to have alcohol. So if you're not into alcohol, don't go to Poland.
I will happily drink alcohol. I don't drink to excess very often. And actually, when I drink, my wife, Charlie, is always moaning at me, because when I drink, I become louder, I become chattier, and just over the top friendliness. I don't understand drunk people that get aggressive. I just don't understand. It's weird to me. So Charlie is always telling me to calm down when I get drunk. So, but maybe if you know, Poles are uptight, a little bit uptight, seen as when they haven't had a drink, maybe if they've had a drink, we'll head it off. Either that will be quite argumentative and it will clash a little bit. I don't know.
So if you think, because you read somewhere or you heard or someone told you, some friend visited some years ago and he told you that Poland is so cheap, you can go there and you're going to do really good because you're coming with the dollars.
I'm going to say straight away, when we went in 2012, it was cheap. It's really cheap to get there, and it was cheap. However, in the space of, 13 years? No, 11, 12? Whatever it is. It has got more expensive. It has got more expensive for sure, without a doubt. If you go to places like, you know, fast food, like McDonald's, KFC, Burger King, whatever, I think the prices have always been fairly standard with what we get over here, but it's the other stuff. And don't get me wrong, some of the food, for example, is still cheaper than we can get here. Or the standard of food, you'll get a high standard of food, which will sort of be equivalent price-wise to a sort of a basic pub-style food over here. So it has got more expensive, but it's still cheaper than it is in the UK.
With the euros and such a cheap country, I'm going to say that maybe Poland is not for you. Now, listen, let's be realistic. If you earn Great British pounds or euro or dollars and you actually make a lot of money in that currency, or you have a scholarship that pays you significant bucks, of course, Poland is going to feel cheap, affordable to you. But Poland is not cheap for Polish people.
Yes, this is what I've learned. Sorry to interrupt again. Yes, this is what I've learned. And when we were in Poland, I was speaking to a Canadian who was teaching English over there. And he was saying, well, he's over here just for the experience, really, because at the end of the day, the money that he's making is not amazing. And you guys have told me in the comments, and while you're down in the comments for this video, make sure you like and subscribe. But you guys have told me, yeah, it's great that the things are getting better in Poland and you're starting to compete. But if the wages aren't keeping up, then it's not really great for the Polish people that live there. So I perfectly understand the struggles.
If they are earning in Polish zloty, it's not a particularly cheap country, especially after COVID, after, you know, the recession now, war. So it's disrespectful to come there and to make comments such as, dude, check this out, look how much this costs. Yeah, Polish people really don't like those type of foreigners, okay? It's insensitive, it's borderline disrespectful, because in Poland, salaries are not as high as maybe, I don't know, in the UK or some parts in Europe. If you want to come and study, you are lucky. You have a good scholarship. Your job pays you very well. Hey, by all means, enjoy it. Life is one, right? But be very careful of not adopting the mindset that Poland is so cheap. Because once you adopt that mindset, then you go around just reverberating the comments, and it's going to be very hard for the locals to accept you and to really, really welcome you when
that's very similar to what I learned when we first came out, because we thought, oh my God, it's so cheap here. But the problem is, it looks like we're flashing our cash. And that's not the way that I think English, for example, what we're trying to do. We're not trying to show off how much money we've got. It's simply that what money we do have can buy so much more, or at least could buy so much more. But I perfectly appreciate that if you're from Poland, you are a Polish person, it could come across as quite disrespectful. And I think I've learned that earlier on already, to be fair, so I don't necessarily do that anymore.
you are saying such things. Another one that is somewhat in the same ballpark as the previous one is if you have the idea that Poland is a underdeveloped country. Maybe you read something online, someone told you again, or you saw a video on YouTube, a YouTuber like me talking about Poland, and somehow, some way, you got this idea that, oh, Poland is a developing country or underdeveloped country, kind of like this similar concepts. And I want to go there. I want to see that reality. I want to go live in a communistic country, or I want to see how it's like. That's even worse. The reality is that Poland is not an underdeveloped country. Poland is a very strong economy that keeps growing at a rate that is actually mind-blowing. Yes, like most countries, it has its ups and downs. I'm not going to say that there are not people that are struggling when it comes to meeting their basic needs. Yes, that happens. There are some small towns that you are going to visit, and it's going to feel like you were there 30 years ago. But
to be fair, you can go up north in England and it sounds about like that, so don't worry. God, that's the north-south divide. I'm from the south, and actually I can appreciate where he's coming from here, and there are parts that you think, well, what's going on there? You drive to the big cities, for example, and you'll go past these what seems to be building sites that haven't finished. But on the flip side of that, you go to Spain, you go to Cyprus, you go to these countries that you wouldn't initially class as underdeveloped, and they've got exactly the same half-built building sites and now abandoned and things like that. So is it really any different to the concept we have of other countries? Probably not. And actually, I bloody love the fact that it's got the bullet holes in buildings next to these amazing shopping centres in Krakow. The 3 shopping centres we went to. Wow, they were so modern. They were so youthful, if that's a good way of putting it.
But for the most part, the everyday reality of Polish people is actually on par with any European Western country in technology. Poland has some of the biggest talents when it comes to IT. Get that out of your head, that Poland is a developing country. I'm telling you this as a person that comes from a developing country. My home country, Dominican Republic, is a developing country, or an underdeveloped country, however you want to call it. Poland is not underdeveloped. Listen, the last thing I'm going to tell you is that if you don't have a sense of humor, especially if you don't have somewhat of a dark sense of humor, self-deprecating humor, then maybe you should not come to Poland. Polish people are some of the most sarcastic, snarky, self-deprecating people that I've ever met.
Once again, this is probably why we are so similar as well. If you can't take the piss out of yourself, then maybe you shouldn't be able to take the piss out of someone else. I will look at the size of my forehead, for Christ's sake. I can take the mick out of that. That is my sense of humor.
They love to make fun of themselves. They love to make fun of others. And most of the time, it really doesn't carry any weight. It's just humor. And trust me, it can feel a little mean at the beginning. I've told this story in another episode before, but when my wife went to Dominican Republic for the first time, she used to sometimes make some jokes about herself, and some of my family members, that maybe my mom said it at some point, or some friends, they were like, but why don't say that about yourself? Why are you being so mean to you? And she was like, I'm not. I'm just being Polish, which is true. Believe me. For example, Latinos particularly, they don't do well with a dark sense of humor. We just don't understand that. Thankfully, I'm pretty dark myself. So as you can see, it was a good fit for me. Poland was a good fit for me. If you are not, then I would advise you to maybe go there, somewhere else.
Brilliant. Yeah. Luckily, I think I'm okay with all of them. And that's probably why I love Poland so much. I'm still going to have to explore more parts of Poland. Charlie's been to Gdansk, I've been to Krakow. There are plenty of places for us to still visit, and I know we will. Are there any of these categories something that you don't think you fit with? Let me know. If you're from Poland, how do you think? What do you think of them? If you're not from Poland, some of my Australian subscribers, for example, or English subscribers, how do you think you would do in Poland, knowing those sort of categories that have been mentioned? Let me know. Like, subscribe, and I'll catch you next time.